So our project today is we're going to make a beaver pillow. And this is kind of a unique pelt. I use a plastic template. I buy this by the roll. It's a shelf liner. And so I've got a good squared template. And I have my beaver pelt nailed out and it's dried. And what's really cool about this beaver pelt is it's got a piebald crest down the belly. So when they had this beaver carcass, what they did was they split it up the back instead of down the belly so that this piebald spot would not be disturbed. And what I did was I nailed out the skin. I closed up my leg holes because I wanted to get as best as I could for width on this, on the top and the bottom. And then I squared it out. I marked it with cold tape first. And so when I'm done, I got a pillow that's a 20-inch square pillow. Now, what I like to do is after I have it taped, I put on a piece of weft interfacing on the back of the pillow. And, you know, this gives a nice finish to the inside of the pillow. I'm going to be putting a velvet lining on this. Also, it's a pillowcase type thing. And so I marked my centers and I marked my half spots there. And there's another mark over here someplace. But so now what I'm going to do is I take that weft cloth and I'm going to tack it around the edge. And then I'll tack it a couple spots in the center with a loose basting stitch on by Fur Machine. And then I'm going to be cutting my velvet backing, and I'll use that template again that I had before for that. So it's really handy when you have a template. So let me get this attached and then we'll cut out the lining and I'll show you how it goes. I have this attached a couple of spots all the way around the perimeter. And now what I'm going to do is do it a couple times on the sides of the pillow. So I loosen my tension and I make my stitch length longer than normal. And then what I do is I just take a bite in the leather about an inch and a half, and I make a seam up. Now, after I've got this done, what I do is I'll take the back end of my fur knife or whatever I have handy, and you just smooth this out. And you won't see it at all from the fur side. But it's got that weft cloth attached, and I'll show you what it looks like from the fur side. You can't even tell where I stitched that. So this holds that weft cloth in place, and it'll keep that pillow, the leather on this, from stretching. There's not a lot of stretch left in it, but it helps keep it secure. I have my fabric cut, and what I'm using is a nice kind of velveteen upholstery fabric, and it definitely has a nap, so I want my nap to go down. I mark the top with a T, and then I mark the center on the top and on each side, and then and at the bottom. So what I've done is I've gone around the edge and I've pressed this back. So once that's pressed back, it's going to be nice. It'll follow that press line when I sew. I use an invisible zipper. And what I do before I put it on is I come and I press this zipper tape back flat. And I just want to make sure I never melt that coil. So I always open and close the zipper once it's pressed, so I know that I haven't damaged it at all. It's pretty hard to do that, but just in case. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew this zipper and the backing on to our pillow, and I'll show you how we do that. I almost forgot to show you this step. So after I have that zipper tape pressed flat, what I do is I come back and I press it all the way down the edge, just about halfway on that zipper tape on both sides. And so my zipper, this is on the inside of the zipper, so I'm pressing it back towards the inside of the zipper again, all the way down. And it's going to give us a nice finish. So don't forget this step and don't burn your fingers. I start sewing the zipper to my pillow about, I don't know, like 2.5 inches from the end. And what I'm doing is I'm catching that rolled back edge that I pressed of the zipper tape and the fur and that weft cloth all at one time. And I sew this down all the way on that edge to about the same distance at that corner, about 2.5 inches. And so I'm going to finish this and then I'll show you what it looks like. From the fur side, this is how it looks. I open my zipper tape, so there's the zipper fob, or whatever you want to call it, zipper pull. And this runs smooth. You can close this up really nice. So all my hair is out of that seam edge. And then the inside looks like that. And you can see that little flange of that zipper tape that I had pressed back where it's kind of like tucked there. So this works great. And now I'm going to put the lining on. So when the lining's on, the lining's going to come down to about right here and get sewn on. This whole thing gets sewn by fur machine. So it finishes up really nice. When I sew the other half of my zipper to the fabric, I start at the center of the fabric and the zipper, and I go to one end, and then I'll do the same. I'll flip it around and sew to the other end. So that tape on the zipper is still folded back to the inside, and then I'm just going to start sewing. I just shut my machine off, so there's not much power, but it'll close up nice. And I close this down to the same spot that I stopped at on the other side of the zipper. So I don't go all the way to the end. I stop where I stopped on this side of the zipper. Okay, so this side, the fabric side of my zipper tape, is attached to my fabric. And I started and stopped right across from where I started and stopped on the fur side. And I left a little tail on the end of this zipper. The zipper itself, ends like here. So I left a little excess on the inside. Now what I do is I come back to the edge of the pillow right here at the fur, and I close this up, catching just the fabric to where that zipper came to meet. Right there. This is where I started and stopped on the fur side on that side and on the fabric side on this side. And I'll do the same on this end. But what I have to do is I have to pull this zipper tape or this zipper pull back a little bit more so it doesn't get trapped. Otherwise you can't move it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to close this end up from right here where it stopped to the end. So I pulled that zipper tail with the fob up, and I'm closing it from where I had stopped sewing it together, and now I'm going up to the end of this. So it will be nice. So what I do after I've got that end closed up on both ends is I come back and I've got that zipper tape opened up. I tuck it inside the opening, and then I come real close to where I ended, and I catch that little, I don't know, there's probably about 1/4 of an inch opening that I couldn't quite grab before. So I shut that up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my, I'm going to pull my zipper tape back to the inside. Oh, let me do that just a minute. Okay, so I have that zipper tape pulled back to the inside, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to sew the zipper tape together at this tail end about 1 inch and close this up from here, right where I had that end, up about that far. Now you can cut the rest of this zipper tail off on both ends if you do that, so it's up to you. But this will get closed up so the zipper won't come apart. So from the right side, or the first side, this is what the bottom of my pillow looks like with that zipper put in. It's closed up to the end, and then my zipper starts right here. There's my zipper pull, and it goes down to this end. And there's my stop point, and then it continues down to the end of the pillow. So the next step I do is sew the sides and the top up, and then we've got our pillow done. I miter the corners, and we'll be right back. When I sew the upholstery fabric to the fur, I start at the top, and I go from the center to the end, and then the same thing, the center to the end, and then I sew down the sides. So this is completely done now. This is the inside where you see that weft cloth. I mitered the corners a bit up here on my fabric. So here is the fabric side. The only thing I have left to do is completely turn it, which I'll show you in a second, and put the pillow form inside. So here's my finished pillow. It looks beautiful. I usually leave the opening at the bottom unzipped so the client can put the pillow form in. I ship them the pillow form from Amazon, so it comes right to their door. All I need to do is take a little bit of a lint roller and get the excess off of the back. But this is a slick way to do a pillow. Now, you know what I've done is I actually did a cheat sheet for myself so I wouldn't forget how to do these. And I just took a strip of fur, and you can practice. So here's my strip of mink, and there was my velvet that I used on that. And I got smart. I didn't press back that zipper tape as much on this practice one as I did on this one. So it'll even look better closed than this does. So anyway, enjoy, like, and subscribe, and happy fur sewing. Just as a follow-up, I forgot to say this, I buy a big bag of these invisible zippers, coil zippers, sometimes they call them, but it is an invisible zipper, and I just buy the longest, I think it's like 22 or 24 inch length, and then I cut them to the size that I need after I've got them in my pillow. So, pretty easy way, and they're pretty inexpensive on Amazon. So, I don't know exactly what the link is for that, but they come in a bag.